What's going on, drama enthusiasts? It's me again, Dr. Deep Throat, here to swallow the entire load of drama this week because this shit has been hot. Not just with YouTubers arguing with each other and being upset, but also there's been some signs of war in the chess community that I've been paying very close attention to. It's been wild. But for this video, I'm going to focus on H3H3 and Keem drama because that is the one that most people are dedicating their lives to at the moment, literally putting their lives on the line, ready to lay it all down for the sake of defending their YouTubers. It's been pretty extreme. I mean, you could go to the best steakhouse in the world and not find beef like this. This is some USDA prime internet beef. And 2 days ago, I made a video talking about it and joking about it, mainly just giving my perspective on what could happen in terms of why it could be dangerous for the platform. And since then, my shit has been twisted more times than cotton candy being made. I don't know if maybe I didn't frame what I was saying correctly, or if people are just blatantly trying to twist what I was saying, but I figured I should at least defend myself and explain it a little bit better, especially following Ethan's nuclear fallout video. To start off, it's not like Ethan and I are on bad terms. There's no bad blood between us. We've talked in DMs. He even agrees with my main point. And we're not like enemies or anything at all. I feel like on the internet, as soon as someone disagrees with someone else, the internet's perception is they have to hate each other. And even other YouTubers feel that way. But for most adults, you can disagree with someone. Not every friend that you're going to have is going to be a sycophant that's just going to be a yes man and agree with everything. So it's not like Ethan crossed his arms and was pouting like, Charlie, we were friends until you had a different opinion than I did. That's not how it happened. He was understanding and, like I said, agreed with my main point. I'll explain my main point again. My main point was never we shouldn't hold people accountable and sponsors are some sacred, untouchable thing. My point is, by making it a common thing, it hurts everyone on the internet, not just with sponsors, but anything. And not to hit you with the old wiggle finger and an I told you so, but within the last 3 days since the first content nuke, Keem has lost the G Fuel sponsorship, which you well know, but Ethan's also lost his Old Spice sponsorship, mainly because people in Keemstar's fanbase on Twitter spearheaded this attack on Ethan's sponsors, and Old Spice caved almost immediately, and that was fueled because Keemstar would constantly retweet them saying, please don't do this. And once that genie's out of the bottle, everyone's gonna hop in. You can't just put that shit back in, you can't just put a cork in that wiener hole and get the genie back in there. Now that people know it's effective, they keep doing it. So Keem retweeting, don't do this. I didn't condone attacking his sponsors, as he's retweeting the person who's organizing it, attacking Ethan's sponsors, well, it led to more people attacking his sponsors, and Ethan lost Old Spice. It also happened to another YouTuber named Gundam, where a popular streamer named Pokimane mentioned his sponsor, and a lot of her people attacked his sponsor, and he lost his sponsor deal there. So it is becoming something of an epidemic, something that I said is bad for the whole platform, and not just with sponsors. It's something anyone on the internet can do, and it's something that's happening right now. There's a massive thread on 4chan that's constantly growing with people targeting big YouTubers and targeting their ads. It's basically a fucking hit list, the main three being Philip DeFranco, iDubbbz, and H3, and they're trying to prove how much power the people have over these YouTubers they don't like's lives. And that's the point I was making in my initial video. When you show this group of people, these bad actors, how much power they can have by just getting enough of them together to go to an advertiser for someone they don't like, it's a disaster for everyone on the internet, because it's not just sponsors. They can do it to Patreon, they can do it to PayPal or AdSense, they can do it anywhere. All it takes is enough people with this same narrative, like this guy is a bad person, to have them dropped. I couldn't decide if even talking about this was the right move, since, as a couple other people pointed out, even mentioning it leads way to a few assholes doing it just for shits and giggles, but ultimately I feel like most people are justifying how it happened because it was Keemstar, and then some people don't like Ethan, so they justified it against Ethan. But I think it's just overwhelmingly negative no matter what, because even if you're using it against people you don't like right now, it sets the precedent where anyone can use it against anybody, and it just becomes a very common tool that eventually leads to a lot of innocent people being hurt. So I felt it was important to at least make people aware of just how dangerous it is to go down this path. Now, maybe I didn't frame this argument correctly in my initial video and my point wasn't clear, because a lot of people seem to think that I was just absolving Keemstar of his sins, just throwing, holy water and blessing him with a pass because he didn't attack sponsors like Ethan. Like, yeah, Keemstar can be an asshole, but this is what Ethan did, as if I was just excusing everything Keemstar did that was bad, which I wasn't doing. I was just highlighting what I thought was a bad thing that came from this situation. And ultimately what ended up happening is Keemstar, it turns out, was also attacking sponsors well before anyone else. In Ethan's follow-up video, he pointed that out. And of course, people were acting like I was supposed to be omniscient and know everything about Keemstar's past, from his fucking SAT scores to the first time he went trick-or-treating as a child. I just didn't know that until Ethan pointed it out. I didn't leave it out on purpose. So yes, Keemstar was attacking sponsors well before any of this happened, And just because he was first doesn't mean that it's okay to do it now. It doesn't make it right. It's still bad. It's bad that Keemstar did it. It's fucked up. And it's fucked up that it's happening now. Now, Ethan himself is not on the side of attacking sponsors, as he makes clear in the follow-up video he makes. And honestly, at this point, I get the impression Ethan didn't even mean to start something like this. I think maybe he was just making jokes about G Fuel just for some jabs at Keemstar for fun. That kind of got out of control, and especially on a subreddit, getting out of control as well, taking it to extremes that now 4chan is taking to, and Twitter as well. There was a dude on Twitter that admitted to committing a fucking crime. After Ethan was dropped by Old Spice, there was a vigilante who took down Old Spice and was holding the website hostage until they made a public statement bringing Ethan back. So shit's just getting out of control, which is exactly what I was saying I was worried about happening. That was the precedent I was worried about. In fact, it's gone worse than I thought. I thought it was always going to have to be a YouTuber coordinating it. But what's happening is just Discord groups of people on 4chan, and just groups of people on Twitter are coordinating with each other to attack the brands of YouTubers that they don't like. And from what I've seen, and I've seen quite a few screenshots of this going on, they're not even presenting evidence. They're just saying nasty things about the YouTuber and saying why it's hurting their brand. And it's working. As we just saw with Ethan, they weren't even presenting any evidence. They were just saying bad things, and they dropped them. Because the companies aren't looking at evidence. They don't have like a department of drama super sleuths that are going to go through every video to make sure it's legitimate proof that this person is bad. They're just getting an influx of these really heinous emails saying that the person they're sponsoring is bad, and they're just dropping them on the spot because to them, it's safer that way. And that's why it is such a big problem. It is something that can happen to people that don't deserve it. Innocent people that maybe just a group of people don't like their content. To defend myself, a lot of people said I only cared about my own sponsors. Like, oh, I see where Charlie's priorities lie. All he cares about is his own sponsor money, which I think is super fucked up because I don't use sponsors. The only things that I ever have sponsors on are the Moist Meter and the podcast. All of my personal content I don't have sponsors for, and the reason I have sponsors for the other two is because those are my friends. That's a whole team putting those productions together. That's supporting multiple people. The majority of my income comes from Twitch, from streaming on Twitch and the generosity of the community. And I mean, I fucking make videos with dildo trick shots, which occasionally Adam and Eve ask if they can sponsor, and I say yes to that, but that's the only piece of personal content I ever have a sponsor on. So it's not like I have a horse in this race where I'm trying to protect my own group of sponsors. It's simply I'm worried about what happens in the future on YouTube, because if this continues to be the norm, companies are just going to stop sponsoring these channels, and a lot of channels that I like to watch are high production channels that need someone like a sponsor to pay for the production costs to put on. But if these companies start to learn like shit, no matter who we sponsor on YouTube, we're still getting a little PR nightmare on Twitter, it's not worth it. They're just not going to sponsor those people or sponsor this platform anymore on an individual level. So that's why I was talking about it. I also can't believe I even have to say this, but obviously the tactic as a whole isn't some brand new genius creation of going after sponsors. It's something that's been done for a long time, just not on a YouTuber personal level. This was, well, with Keemstar apparently being first, this was the first time we've seen it being this effective and now this widespread. That's what I was saying. While as an idea, it's not the most, genius thing ever, it doesn't take some supervillain mastermind to come up with the idea of, wait, what if I just said some mean shit about this guy to his sponsor? Like, that doesn't take the smartest person in the world to think of that. That's not new. But seeing it actually employed on a YouTuber individual level is something that is new, and now seems to be something very effective that's spiraling out of control, where it's not YouTubers doing it, now it's just people even unassociated with both groups doing it just to fuck people up. That's what I'm saying is new. And to get even bigger brain scheme here, to see even into a deeper dystopian future, I'll go ahead and speculate. A lot of these people are younger. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the majority of people doing this and reporting this acting like some kind of fucking Batman of the internet, I'd say they're like 15, 16 years old. These are young people. As they get older and they see that what they're doing has a huge effect on people's lives, they might employ this tactic outside of the internet into the real world where, maybe they have a disagreement with someone on the internet and they take it to their actual job and they get that person to have ramifications for something they just disagreed with on the internet. And we've seen that from, like I said, middle-aged Karens reporting Twitter people to their employer and getting them fired. So if we're teaching people that are this young that this kind of shit is effective at hurting someone you don't like, they might take that even further, even outside of the internet. That's very speculative and very well could not happen, but like I said, this can have far-reaching consequences like that because these are people that are still learning, they're still developing. These are young minds that are forming, they're like a sponge absorbing all kinds of shitty internet memes and ideas. So if they're learning that, hey, this person I don't like is getting fucked because of this, I'm gonna start using this on other people I don't like. It could be bad, even outside of just internet shit. And that's what I wanted to talk about, why it is so bad if you go after people's sponsors or just general livelihood, because it's a very slippery slope. And I know a lot of people hate that term, but it really fucking is, because these companies aren't looking at evidence. They're looking at numbers. These companies aren't like, shit, we have to keep up with the latest drama with our clients. All right, let's get the HR department on this. Look at all these 9 exposed videos. We have to make sure they're legitimate. That's not what they're doing. What they're doing is they're looking at, holy shit, look at all of these emails telling us that this person is bad. Must be bad, we're dropping them. It is not worth the disaster we're having here. They're just looking at numbers. There's a lot of complaints. They're saying, fuck it, not worth it. They're gone. That's how it's working, and that's why it's bad, because it doesn't even need to be a bad person. Anyone can coordinate that shit, and it leads to a disaster. That's the point I was making. Alright, that's about it. See ya.